will never even go back there. Then you won't get it back. 5, giving clear instruction and questions that are likely to be relevant to all for interest to participants. Clear instructions and questions. So let's be clear. Be clear about your questions. Be clear about it. Give instructions. Don't just give questions without instruction. Oh, A and B is compulsory. C, it's optional. D, you have to put it. E, you have to do this. Give a clear instruction about the questionnaire. 6, using people's name in a letter rather than dear sir or madam to make the participant feel more personally involved. The researcher could also individually sign each letter. Use their name so that they know, oh,
this is for me.
It's for me. So this makes them to feel like, yeah, I have to. But when you say dear sir, he doesn't bring up the name. So you are not involving him or her. But to get him involved, identify him. That's why he has an identity. Do you understand? And lastly, offering the participant an incentive of money or the chance of being entered in a prize draw if the questionnaire is returned. Try to let the questionnaire know that the participants know that there's a reward for it. So, reward, like, oh, as soon as you return this questionnaire, you stand a raffle draw. You stand a chance of winning. So that's a reward. So this might make the participant eager to submit, so I can have the chance to. Is it clear? So the second way of administering survey is through structured interviews. When we talk about structured interview, we call it standardized interviews. So what are standardized interviews? They say here, it may at first seem strange to include interviews here, but this kind of interview is really just an alternative way of administering the questionnaire. In a structured interview, the researcher reads out the question, including the answers allowed in closed questions, and records the respondents' answers for them. This can be done as a telephone questionnaire or face-to-face. If the interviews are face-to-face, the location where they are held is very important. So here, when we talk about structured interviews, the researcher will help the interviewer, the interviewee, or the respondent, or the participant to read the question, interpret the question, and give the respondent the answers are available. If it's a closed question, if it's available, then the researcher will still help to fill the form. Okay. Do you understand? So here they said, social interviews normally have a higher response rate than postal questionnaire because the researcher can explain the purpose of the research and reassure the participant about any issues they may have. The researcher may also be able to give the interviewer prompts. However, structured interviews take up much more of the researcher's time than postal questionnaires do, and therefore more expensive. The researcher may employ assistants to carry out the interviews, in which case clear and detailed instructions need to be given to them. Yeah, the advantage about structured interview is that you get so much response because you are there to help out. So all the questions will be available, all the questions, whatever the participant doesn't understand, you are there to explain further. So this makes the participants to even have interest in the subject. But what is the problem about this? The problem is that it takes so much time from the researcher. And even the researcher might need to employ someone to help, an assistant. That means that's another cost. So it is expensive. So structured interview to carry out survey is expensive.